Good morning everyone, a very warm welcome to the theIAShub. Guys, let's start the session. Let's see what's there for us in today's newspaper. तो शुरू करने से पहले कुछ शब्दों को यहाँ पे हम देखने वाले हैं. Now Dalai Lama, he is saying that the world doesn't belong to leaders, the world belongs to all humanity. Now what does this mean? What he is trying to say? Look at the present conflicts that we are dealing with. So you have Russia-Ukraine war that is going on. Now you have to understand one thing. What's the reason? What led to the start of this particular war? If you ask common Russian about this question, whether this war is legitimate or not, he might be having a different view. उनका view different हो सकता है. But primarily it is because of the leadership that is causing this particular war here. That leadership is adamant. That leadership is interpreting. That leadership is interpreting the overall scenario narrowly and specifically the national interest. Now, whenever you are going to mix up national interest with selfish motive, the result is going to be disastrous. This is what will be the outcome. So, world belongs to humanity. Our leaders, they have to realize it. They should always interpret their national interest as enlightened national interest. It should be interpreted as enlightened national interest. It is quite critical, very important for us that you are thinking not just from the perspective of your own country, you have to start thinking from the perspective of humanity. Humanity should be your target audience, not just your own people. You need to have that broad view of life. This is what we should have in our leaders. So here I would like to again discuss another, you can say, issue of climate change. Now you have to understand, Donald Trump, he was the president of United States and he took US out of Paris deal. That was primarily to address the climate change. This was the outcome. Now this problem can be linked with the other, you can say, aspect here that is related to funding. Now we already know that developed nations, they are reluctant to fund. They are reluctant to provide finances for the historical injustice that they have done. And in this scenario, they are narrowly interpreting their national interest. They are not thinking about humanity. If they start thinking about humanity, definitely they will come forefront to address the concerns for the humanity, the issues for the humanity. This is what Dalai Lama is saying. We have to broaden our perspective. You have to think from this angle, that at the end of the day you have to work for humanity. This is what he is asking us to do. Now in today's session we will be starting with safe harbor clause in IT law. We will talk about it, what exactly it is. Long lost moth species found. We will look into some PYQ, how UPSC did ask a question, similar type of question. Antibiotics cut the carbon in the soil. Okay, again dealing with the soil degradation, we'll look into that. Farmer distress, definitely it has to be looked into, another important topic. Then press freedom, हमारे यहाँ पे गवर्नमेंट ने एजेंसीज को फ्री छोड़ा BBC के ऊपर. ओके, BBC वाला इशू देखेंगे इंडिया के अंदर. India's logistics system, like, see, you want to make your industry competitive, so one thing you have to address is that you have to reduce the logistics cost. जो logistics की cost है वो कम करनी है. We will look into those perspective as well. Cheetah in India, okay, Cheetah भी पीता है, देखते हैं इसको. Then we have political solution in Sri Lanka. So here primarily it is about the 13th Constitution Amendment Act. Okay, we'll look into this aspect as well because India is also associated in this. Now vital role for IBSA. We'll explore how these three countries they are exploring their ties. India-US trade relations, and not only that, we will be covering India-Australia trade developments as well. Okay, so these two topics will be covered in addition. So let's see what's there for us. Now we'll start with this provision. He's saying that center to reconsider the safe harbor clause in the IT law. So basically government is going to come up with the new law, that is Digital India Act 2023. What this act is going to do? It is going to, you can say, address shortfalls that are there in IT Act 2000. और अगर हम देखें तो ये बेसिकली IT Act 2000 को ओवरहोल करेगा. ओके, उसको चेंज करने का सिस्टम इसमें डाला गया है. This is how we have as new developments. Now normally when we talk about laws related to the governance of IT industry, or to be very precise, the social media and other, you can say, platform, there is this term which is popular is safe harbor. अब देखो होता क्या है, there are intermediaries. Clear? अब intermediaries कैसे हैं? जैसे हो गया आपका Facebook. Now user is, you can say, putting up a content. User ने कोई ऐसा वीडियो अपलोड कर दिया, that content was, you can say, not appropriate, or there was some problem in the content. किसी को टारगेट करता हुआ है, communal tension बढ़ाने वाला content, and etc etc etc. This was, you can say, the content which was uploaded. The fundamental question is this: at present the intermediaries, they are not liable for the content that is uploaded on their platform. They are not legally liable. आप Facebook को यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं कर सकते. Facebook cannot be held responsible for the content that is uploaded on the platform. Primarily, the action will be taken against the user who is uploading it. Now the fundamental question is this approach right? Because this concession that has been given to these platforms is given under the tag called safe harbor, so that these platforms can function, ये अपना काम कर सकें, और इस तरीके से इनको ये प्रोटेक्शन मिली हुई है. एंड विदाउट दिस प्रोटेक्शन दे वॉन्ट बी एबल टू ऑपरेट, वो ढंग से काम भी नहीं कर पाएंगे. सो दिस इज द रीजन वाई वी हैव दिस सेफ हार्बर प्रोविजन. नाउ इट इज अगेन क्रिटिकल इफ यू वांट दिस इंडस्ट्री टू इनोवेट. इनोवेशन करने के लिए आपको और यूजर्स को लेके आना पड़ेगा. हर यूजर के एजुकेशन स्टेटस डिफरेंट होता है, अंडरस्टैंडिंग डिफरेंट होती है, लिटरेसी रेट डिफरेंट होता है. ओके, सो देयर विल बी सम मिसक्रिएंट्स, देयर विल बी सम प्रॉब्लम मेकर्स जो इस तरीके का कंटेंट डालते हैं. देन अगेन देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन रिलेटेड टू द फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच. Freedom of speech is also important here. Now if there is something like that, अगर ऐसा कुछ होता है तो this freedom of speech will be impacted. ये कहीं ना कहीं impact हो जाएगा, because these platforms they will be reluctant to put on, to allow users to have access to the content, or users will be stopped from putting up the content if you are going to take away this safe harbor for them. But right now you can say government is thinking about it. So this safe harbor, it states that intermediaries, the internet, they are not responsible for the third party post on their website. Clear? And this is the principle that allows social media platform to avoid liability. उनको liable नहीं ठहराया जा सकता, जिम्मेदार नहीं ठहराया जा सकता. But right now the debate is this: should they be made liable? क्या उनको हमें जिम्मेदार ठहराना चाहिए? This is the question that the government will be examining. I am telling you the reason. If they are, this safe harbor is taken away, definitely social media scrutiny will increase, social media intermediary will put on more restrictions. So user kahin na kahin apna content nahi dal payega. So this is the consequence that we are going to have here. And fundamentally we do have fundamental speech right, and the point is this, it cannot be violated by any platform, but definitely we have to have a system, because right now weaponizing of disinformation is taking place. We have seen it, Cambridge Analytica, the whole scandal, that how in US manipulation of the voters were taking place due to disinformation. So you have to make sure that this disinformation is checked. कम से कम इसको तो रोकना बनता है. This is what it is about. आगे बढ़ते हैं. Long lost moth species caught on camera in Tamil Nadu forest. Okay, so this is the rare moth species now that has been spotted in Tamil Nadu. The first thing is this, you should be knowing in which state this species has been spotted, that is your Tamil Nadu. क्यों ऐसा बोला? Just have a look over this 2016 prelims question. They did ask, recently our scientists discovered a new distinct species of banana. और ये पूछा कि बताओ ये कहाँ पे मिला है, in which part of India this has been discovered. Now again I am going to just replace few words. I will say we have discovered new species of moth. In which part of India it has been discovered? So UPSC can come out with this question. तो इसके अंदर इसका आंसर तो अंडमान निकोबार आइलैंड है, but this species of moth we got it in Tamil Nadu. It's a rare species. Last time it was sighted 127 years ago. 127 years ago it was sighted in Sri Lanka. Now it has been sighted again. So it shows that either the environment or the ecological health is improving, that with our effort there is some improvement in the ecological health. This is one conclusion that can be made. And primarily this moth was sighted in Kalkad Madanthurai Tiger Reserve, KMTR, and this is how this is located in this part, that is near the border between Tamil Nadu and Kerala. So near that this particular tiger reserve is located. Again, it's a question that you have to cover. Clear hai? So this sort of question UPSC is asking. Now there is another important development regarding antibiotics. So these findings are quite interesting. See, we are dealing with carbon climate change, okay, and one of the solution that we explore is कार्बन सीक्वेस्ट्रेशन. इस प्रॉब्लम का सॉल्यूशन हम क्या देखते हैं? कार्बन सीक्वेस्ट्रेशन. कार्बन सीक्वेस्ट्रेशन प्राइमरीली मीन्स दैट इज एब्जॉर्प्शन ऑफ कार्बन इन सोयल. सोयल में भी आप उस कार्बन को एब्जॉर्ब कर सकते हो. देन दिस इज हाउ वी आर थिंकिंग टू रिड्यूस द, यू कैन से, द प्रेजेंस ऑफ कार्बन, एंड दिस इज हाउ इट विल हेल्प अस इन रिड्यूसिंग द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज. तो ये एक सॉल्यूशन है कि सोयल में आप इसे अब्जॉर्ब करवा दो. नाउ द फंडामेंटल डेवलपमेंट इज दिस, एंटीबायोटिक्स ड्रग्स दैट आर एडमिनिस्टर्ड टू द लाइवस्टॉक, दोज एंटीबायोटिक्स they have this ability to reduce the carbon absorption capacity of the soil. तो ये जो antibiotics हैं such as tetracycline, now they are long lived and they can remain in soil for decades, and the point is this, they can reduce the carbon in soil, and in this way it can affect the climate. This is how dangerous it could be. Now normally these antibiotics are administered to the livestock, और livestock का जो गोबर होता है, जो dung होता है, through that it is entering the soil, and there it is creating trouble for the carbon sequestration. वहाँ पे carbon absorption में problem create कर रहा है. So this is the new finding, and it is absolutely important for your prelims point of view, because you need to be knowing about this tetracycline, that this is one antibiotic that is administered to the livestock. एक तो ये हो गया. Other is this, that antibiotics, they have this ability to reduce the carbon absorption quality of the soil. Now this could be a statement in your prelims exam, so please note it down. दिस इज क्वाइट इंपॉर्टेंट, यू कैन से स्टफ, ठीक ठाक इंपॉर्टेंट है और हमें इसको अच्छे से कवर करना है। आगे बढ़ते हैं। फार्मर्स डिस्ट्रेस, falling prices, failing hopes. Okay, so these are some serious developments taking place here. Now basically what is happening, the prices for potato and onion, they are quite low, very low, that the farmer is not able to sustain. Farmer तो sustain भी नहीं कर पा रहा है. Now other point is this, we don't have a provision of MSP for these crops. This is the other trouble that we have, means there is no such assurity or protection that is given to the farmer. Now what's the reason behind this problem is lack of awareness. Not just lack of awareness, we don't have warehouse capacity. आपके पास warehouse capacity भी नहीं है. Now this potato, onion, they are perishable crops, means you cannot put them in the warehouse. आप उनको cold storage वगैरह में नहीं रख सकते. अगर आपके पास storage capacity नहीं है, they will end up in waste. अब देखिए बात क्या है, फार्मर के पास बेसिकली ये अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं है that they can keep their product in the warehouse so that they can sell them when prices are more high. ये अपॉर्चुनिटी इनके पास नहीं है, ये रख ही नहीं पाते हैं. दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम हियर. अदर इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट, नाउ दे डोंट हैव नॉलेज अबाउट मार्केट. मार्केट के बारे में उनको नॉलेज ही नहीं है. दे गो विद द परसेप्शन, दे गो विद लाइक दिस, दैट इफ लास्ट ईयर दे वर गेटिंग गुड रिटर्न्स, so what will happen, the present year में all the farmers they will start growing the same crop. सब लोग सेम क्रॉप लगाने लग जाते हैं. लास्ट ईयर के हिसाब से उनको लगता है कि इस साल भी अच्छा हमें दाम मिलेगा, एंड दे स्टार्ट ग्रोइंग द सेम क्रॉप. द आउटकम ऑफ दिस इज दैट दिस ईयर इफ द प्राइसेस आर नॉट दैट मच, they have the overproduction of that crop. उस particular crop की overproduction हो जाती है, लेकिन prices तो आपको मिलते ही नहीं है. This is the trouble that they face here. Now if they have the knowledge about the market, सिर्फ प्याज और आलू क्यों उगाने हैं, आप कितनी चीजें उगा सकते हो. They can diversify their crop if they have the knowledge about the market, कि मार्केट में डिमांड कौन सी क्रॉप की चल रही है. पूरा आइडिया उनको पता नहीं होता है. So these are the things that are to be done, and over the time what has happened, the input cost has gone up tremendously. जो farmer की input cost है वो बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गई है. They have to spend for insecticide, fertilizers, okay, and other things, and it is not easy to make profit out of it. That's why it is said that agriculture is no more a remunerative business. Agriculture उतना remunerative business नहीं बचा है अब. And if all the farmers they start moving away from agriculture, भाई अपनी जमीन बेच बेच के सब हटने लगे, then it will damage and it will threat our food security. ये हमारी food security of the nation जो है उसके ऊपर impact डालेगा, एक threat लेके आएगा. So these are the things that are to be done. Definitely Swaminathan Commission, okay, Swaminathan Commission, it suggested multiple things. So recommendation of those commission we can consider to be to implement them. जरूर हम उसको implement कर सकते हैं, and definitely we are not in a position that we should take away the subsidies that are given to the farmers. तो जो हम सब्सिडी वगैरह फार्मर को देते हैं, तो आज की डेट में हम उस पोजीशन में नहीं है कि वो सब्सिडी फार्मर से हम छीन लें. ओके, at present it might not be possible. So these are some serious concerns that are there. Now we'll move to the editorial section, media raids and breaking the silence on the press freedom. Okay, so you need to understand one thing, you should know this, that income tax survey was carried out on BBC, you can say British Broadcasting Corporation office, and some things were also found there. So later on there was this press release by CBDT, Central Board of Tax, you can say direct taxes, they said that BBC has been trying to evade taxes. Okay, कि इनके यहाँ पे कुछ discrepancies find की गई हैं and multiple things have been, you can say, mentioned by the CBDT. Now the point is this. Problem क्या है यहाँ पे? The problem is that randomly you can carry out survey of anyone in this country. There is no bar, no restriction. So courts, they rarely check the police for their investigatory practices and evidence collection. That how do they act? How do they carry out their investigation? This is the problem here. So the court is not present when the investigation starts. Whether the investigation process, it was legitimate. Because there are incidents where harassment has taken place because of these activities. And regularly, you can say, politicians in power, they have this tendency to curtail the dissent. Dissent को curtail करने की उनकी tendency है. They don't like criticism. And at present, there was this issue related to the documentary on नरेंद्र मोदी. So मोदी जी के ऊपर एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री आई थी एंड यू कैन से BBC उसके प्रोडक्शन में लिंक्ड था. So this has not gone well with the party in power, the person in power, and this is how they are using their means, these agencies, to curtail this dissent, to curtail the criticism. Now certainly it is going to damage the freedom of speech and expression. Okay. So freedom of speech is impacted because these type of activities that आप अपनी agencies भेज रहे हो, उसका chilling impact होता है. Chilling effect in the sense, it sends a wrong message to the society that whosoever dares to criticize the government will have this fate. जो भी सरकार को criticize करने की कोशिश करेगा, उसका हश्र ऐसा होगा. ये गलत मैसेज जाता है. This is the wrong message that is sent, and it is important, we have to take these things quite seriously. This is the major point here. Now we'll move to the next, you can say, editorial, which is talking about ideal track to run the India's logistics system. See, when you talk about making your industry competitive, अगर आप अपनी इंडस्ट्री को कॉम्पिटिटिव बनाना चाहते हो तो यू हैव टू रिड्यूस द लॉजिस्टिक्स कोस्ट. आपको जो लॉजिस्टिक्स कोस्ट है वो कम करना पड़ेगा. अब देखो, आपका कॉम्पिटिटर है चाइना. नाउ इन चाइना लॉजिस्टिक्स कोस्ट इज 9% ऑफ द ट्रांजैक्शन. इन इंडिया इट इज 13% ऑफ द ट्रांजैक्शन. दिस इज द रीजन व्हाई द प्राइसेस आर मोर इन इंडिया. क्वालिटी तो छोड़ो, बात की बात है, लेकिन प्राइसेस का भी यहाँ पे खेल है. ओके, सो इट इज रियली क्रिटिकल दैट वी लुक इनटू दिस थिंग. इसको जरूर से समझना हमें जरूरी है, एंड दिस इज द ओनली वे दैट वी विल बी एबल टू सस्टेन. और देयर अगेन द गवर्नमेंट हैज द मेजर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बिकॉज इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हैव टू बी इम्प्रूव्ड. मेजरली हमें अपना इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इंप्रूव करना पड़ेगा if we want to have industrialized system. वाकई में अगर आप इंडस्ट्रियलाइज होना चाहते हो तो ये चीज करना बहुत बहुत जरूरी है. Now, right now, we have announced PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan, like where we are going to spend, you can say, multiple lakhs of crores of rupee, और उसी को लेके कुछ announcements यहाँ पे दी गई हैं. Now, right now, government is focusing on railways, specifically the cargo movement. Now, Indian Railways, it has a major trouble. Indian Railway की एक समस्या है that what we do is this: we do increase the freight charges basically to subsidize the passenger traffic. तो जो आपका पैसेंजर ट्रैफिक होता है उसको सब्सिडाइज करने के लिए आप फ्रेट चार्जेस इंक्रीज करते हो. आप मालगाड़ी के ऊपर ज्यादा चार्जेस लगाते हो क्योंकि आपको जनता के लिए पैसेंजर ट्रेन्स को सब्सिडाइज करना पड़ता है. टिकट अफोर्डेबिलिटी लेके आनी पड़ती है. Now major trouble in this is it makes the use of railway as a transportation mode uncompetitive. रेलवे जो है वो एज अ मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्ट सही नहीं रहता. So this is the critical thing we have to deal here. Now right now government is thinking to spend 2.4 lakh crore on railways to basically to improve the infrastructure, to have more number of trains, so that we can end up, you can say, creating opportunity so that we can use the railway as a mode of transport. Now if you look into the cost, तो अगर रेलवे में 1 रुपया आपका लगता है ट्रांसपोर्टेशन का, रोड इट इज समवेयर अराउंड 3.5 rupees. It is 3.5%, means more you can say than the railways. So railway is quite competitive, लेकिन हम मिस आउट कर जाते हैं पैसेंजर ट्रैफिक को सब्सिडाइज करने के लिए. So we have to think about these things. Now in 2021, coal constituted 44% of the total freight movement, clear? Followed by iron ore, then cement, food grains, fertilizer, iron and steel, etc. तो मेजरली कोयला ट्रांसपोर्ट करने के लिए हम इसका यूज कर रहे हैं. इसका मतलब नॉर्मल ट्रैफिक ज़्यादातर जो ऑर्डर्स हैं वो रोड की तरफ जा रहा है. सो वी हैव टू फैसिलिटेट दीज डेवलपमेंट्स. नॉट ओनली दैट, यू हैव टू लिंक पोर्ट्स विद द रेल लाइन्स, एंड देयर यू नीड टू हैव द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. वहाँ पे बहुत बड़ा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर आपके पास होना चाहिए सो दैट यू कैन फैसिलिटेट these developments and reduce the logistics cost. Without reducing the logistics cost, we cannot make sure that our products are competitive. Clear? So this is what we have to do here. Now national transporter faces several infrastructural, operational and connectivity challenges. Okay, so we have to make sure that that you have one thing, last mile connectivity is there. This is one thing we have to explore in this, and not only that, we have to reduce the transit time. ये जो transit time है इसे reduce करना है आपको. Okay, so this is how it is. Not only that, you need to develop this multimodal handling, wagon placement, loading. Okay, all these things are required here, and terminal infrastructure and other things are also required. Now right now we are, you can say, coming up with the dedicated freight corridors along the east and the western corridor and multimodal logistics parks. Okay, so these are the ideas that we are already exploring, and we are hopeful that with the implementation of these ideas, we will definitely be able to reduce the freight charges for railway, and that is going to further improve our competitiveness when it comes to logistics. So this is the goal and objective that we have here at present. आगे बढ़ते हैं. Can the cheetah help India's grassland? Okay, so major game आपको पता है सबको. We got 8 cheetah from Namibia, 12 from South Africa, and this is the long time, you can say, plan that we are having. The aim is to have sustainable number of cheetah population in India, specifically in Madhya Pradesh, in the Kono National Park. Okay, so यहाँ पे हम चीता लेके आ रहे हैं, लेकिन चीता से पहले this Kono National Park was prepared for गिर lion. तो एक प्रोजेक्ट था कि गिर से थोड़े बहुत शेर इधर डाले जाएंगे, but now we got the cheetah. So major point is this: cheetah normally in Africa lives in savanna. Now the question is this: can they survive in India? क्योंकि ये deciduous, dry deciduous area में रखा गया है इनको, तो क्या इंडिया में सर्वाइव कर लेंगे? बिल्कुल कर लेंगे. Before, you can say, 1950s, there used to be cheetah population in India. Now it became extinct because of the hunting. हमने मार दिए शिकार कर करके उनको. तो पहले इंडिया में होते थे चीते, ऐसा नहीं है कि नहीं होते थे. तो they will be able to adopt to the, you can say, new habitat and all. बिल्कुल आराम से हो जाएंगे. This is the goal, and we have this cheetah action plan, which is, you can say, 15-year plan, and the idea is this: we need to have sizable number of cheetah population. कि भी आने वाले कुछ सालों में somewhere around 160 cheetahs तो इंडिया में होने ही चाहिए. Later on the number can increase as well. So this is the idea that we are exploring, and by, you can say, bringing in cheetah here, we will be able to conserve the forest as well. So forest conservation के ऊपर भी हमारा focus अच्छे से आएगा. Okay, so this is the broader idea, and this is just the start. Kono Palpur is the start. We can definitely explore cheetah in other parts of India as well. This is what we can do here, but you have to understand, average home range for cheetah is somewhere around 750 square kilometers. So एक चीता 100 किलोमीटर स्क्वायर किलोमीटर में ट्रैवल करता है, घूमता फिरता है. So it requires a big area. We have to explore, you can say, things and keep these things in mind. Now, political solution in Sri Lanka. So majorly, when we talk about Sri Lanka here, so there are, you can say, there is Sinhala majority. Majority population is Sinhala, and Tamils, you can say, this is the Tamil populated area which is there in red. Now what happened was that after independence in Sri Lanka, Sinhalas, they start dominating, and as they started dominating, Tamil population felt that their rights are curtailed, कि भी हमारे rights curtailed हो रहे हैं और हमारा नुकसान हो रहा है. This is what Tamil population they faced. There used to be discrimination होता था यहाँ पे, okay, and this didn't go well with the Tamils. So later on, you can say, in this particular belt, LTTE, it started its activity and civil war started in Sri Lanka. Now this civil war, it started in 1980s and it was concluded in 2009. It was a long civil war. Okay, this is the history that is there. Now not only that, when these things went ahead, these things were going on, in 1987, there was this accord signed between India and Sri Lanka. Now as per that accord, India will be assisting the Sri Lanka with Indian peacekeeping forces, and the Sri Lanka in return will facilitate provincial autonomy to the provinces. जितने भी provinces हैं उनको provincial autonomy देनी पड़ेगी. This agreement was made. Clear? This agreement was majorly made here. Now, this provision was made under 13th Constitution Amendment Act. This 13th Constitution Amendment Act talks about amending the Sri Lankan constitution, not the Indian one. So this idea was explored, but the provisions of 13th Constitution Amendment Act was never implemented. These provisions were never implemented because Sinhala majority was not ready for that. Now right now the debate has started because the present Prime Minister there, he talked about implementing the 13th Constitution Amendment Act, which will give autonomy to provinces. In the sense, specifically, Tamil populated area, they will benefit out of it. And that's why these protests are going on. Now, we know the history that India, you can say, sent Indian peacekeeping forces under Operation Pavan. It was a military operation, okay. Specifically, the activity was there in Jaffna region to target the LTTE, and it was disastrous. We lost many men in this mission. Okay, काफी नुकसान हुआ था. Later we know that former Indian Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, he was also assassinated by LTTE, and the counterpart, the Sri Lankan counterpart, he was also assassinated by LTTE. So both we lost Indian Prime Minister as well as the former Sri Lankan Prime Minister. Those who signed this accord, जिन्होंने भी ये accord sign किया था. Now these are the developments that are taking place here. Okay, so we have to wait and watch how developments are moving ahead in Sri Lanka. लेकिन आज की डेट में ये positioning चल रही है वहाँ पे. Okay, this is the issue that is there, and this is quite centric to India as well because we do have sizable number of Tamil population and there are, you can say, cultural linkages. तो ये cultural linkages यहाँ पे हैं. Now specifically these Tamils, okay, they were taken to Sri Lanka by British officers. तो ब्रिटिश टाइम पे ये तमिल्स जो हैं इस एरिया में लाए गए थे एज अ लेबरर टू वर्क इन द कॉफी प्लांटेशन. ओके, so this was the overall scenario here. Now IBSA can play a vital role in reforming the digital governance, says the Diplo Foundation report. Okay, so IBSA, when we talk about here, we are focusing on India, Brazil and South Africa. Okay, so India, Brazil और South Africa की आप बात कर रहे हो and they are working here, so they are expecting to play important role. Now the major point is this: at present G20 presidency is with India, so these three countries, they are quite like-minded not only when it comes to the political dimension but also from the economic point of view as well, क्योंकि बहुत से कंसर्न हमारे एक दूसरे के साथ ओवरलैप करते हैं, एक जैसे हैं, डेवलपमेंट वो भी कर रहे हैं, हम भी कर रहे हैं. These are the major ideas, and right now they said that why can't we focus on digital inclusion? So G20 agenda, the major focus can also be on digital inclusion of the people, and not only that, like it is focusing, or it is putting up a point that digital skills and legal frameworks, those things can be prioritized. And if you are doing things internationally on an international platform, seriously it can be helpful for us because we can work with multiple countries. एक दूसरे के साथ आप काम कर सकते हो. Now we can share our own experience. We implemented Aadhaar biometric. Okay, some innovation must have been done by South Africans or say Brazilian, so we can learn from those as well. उनके साथ भी आप कर सकते हो, G20 के अंदर भी इस मुद्दे को लेके जा सकते हो, and it is going to be a major issue when we talk about G20 talks. Now next is MOU on semiconductors will help India play a bigger role in electronic supply chain. This is what US is saying. Okay, so right now what is happening is that for the semiconductor production, the world is dependent on China, and they don't want to get dependent on one country, they want alternative. Clear? That alternative, definitely India can provide that alternative. Your government is already, you can say, has already announced multiple schemes for promotion of semiconductor manufacturing. अब ये semiconductor हर चीज में आपको चाहिए, जितने भी इलेक्ट्रॉनिक इक्विपमेंट हैं उन सब के लिए अंदर semiconductor का यूज होगा. Okay, so this is the idea that we want to develop India as a major hub for semiconductor manufacturing, because right now as China is a major supplier, अब China disrupt हुआ because of the COVID and all, this global supply chain was impacted. Now they want some alternative. Now in this development, we have to talk about India's decision, Air India's decision to purchase 220 Boeing aircraft. आपने एक चीज ऑब्जर्व की होगी that US president, French, you can say president, UK prime minister, they all, you can say, applauded this particular development. सब खुश हुए थे कि भाई एयर इंडिया ने 220 बोइंग के प्लेन खरीदे हैं. Why they were happy? Because it was the biggest order in the history and it is going to create major employment in these countries. बहुत बड़े लेवल पे एम्प्लॉयमेंट पैदा होगी इन देशों के अंदर. It's a big, you can say, order. French and UK, they supply parts, engine or parts वो यहाँ से आते हैं. So they were also happy with these developments. This is how it was a critical thing, and not only that, this shows the might of Indian economy. ये Indian economy की might है, that has been shown to the world. Now this world is going to take us seriously, in the sense that we can use it as a diplomatic leverage. कहीं पे भी बात होगी तो आप diplomatic leverage की तरह इसे use करोगे. These countries will recognize that India is a big, you can say, economy, and we have to think about Indian interest as well. So while making up their policy, they will think about Indian concerns. वो अपनी domestic policy में भी Indians का ख्याल रखेंगे, specifically Indian diaspora की अगर हम बात करें. So this is how important this development has been. It is, you can say, quite effective thing. हम semiconductors भी बनाएंगे, okay, and Indian aspirations are there. We want, you can say, electronic supply chain to be there in India. India is going to be a very big industry. Specifically अगर हम ऑटोमोबाइल की बात करें तो आज की डेट में आप ऑटोमोबाइल एक्सपोर्ट करने का प्लान कर रहे हो, ओके, हम करते भी हैं. African countries and South American countries, we are exporting automobile, okay. Now not only that, we are talking about mobile manufacturing as well. अब मोबाइल के अंदर भी आपका पूरा सर्किट पूरा बनता है, आपको चिप की जरूरत पड़ती है. Again, you want semiconductor to be, you can say, made in India. This is the major goal that we have. This is what we are keeping in our mind. Now, the next, you can say, topic is India-Australia trade relation. Okay, so they said that in the coming, you can say, months, we will be able to conclude comprehensive economic cooperation agreement. Now, right now, there are some concerns regarding, you can say, issues, और major issue की बात करें तो debate हो रही है dairy market को लेके. Now, if India allows Australian firms to Indian dairy market, it can seriously impact the Indian farmers, because they are the big, you can say, players. They have money, and Indian farmers, Indian firms will not be able to compete with them. ये एक major idea है यहाँ पे, clear? But negotiations are on. We have to see when this particular, you can say, agreement is going to be concluded. Major benefit that India is going to get is service sector. हमारी service sector को major benefit होगा यहाँ पे, okay, specifically related to the mobility of people. Visa regime थोड़ा आसान हो जाएगा, mobility of people थोड़ी अच्छी हो जाएगी. So this is what our demand, and Australians are saying that हमें भाई अपना dairy वाला access दे दो. Okay, so these are the things that are there. Definitely they are looking forward to reduce the tariff. Tariff दोनों ही कम करने की बात कह रहे हैं. So this is the overall debate that is there related to India-Australia relation. Okay, now the point is this: if we conclude this particular, you can say, agreement, other countries will also be ready for this. दूसरे countries भी तैयार हो जाएंगे, okay, इंडिया के साथ इस टाइप के bilateral trade agreement sign करने को लेके. And this is the idea that we are exploring here. Australia wants that India should be there as a member of RCEP, लेकिन हम अभी तैयार नहीं हैं. Chinese concerns हैं हमारे दिमाग में, that Chinese, they are, you can say, coming up with the competitive products. उनके products काफ़ी सस्ते हैं और competitive हैं, and Indian market will be flooded with those products. Okay, so that's the major concern we have in our mind, and this is what we have for today's session. So please stay tuned. Do spread about this session to your friends. Thank you very much.